I am Christelle from Diabetes Strong. In this video, I'll be talking about what I absolutely hate about my Dexcom G6. So that might sound mighty negative compared to the content I usually create, but hear me out. So there are definitely some things that drives me absolutely bonkers when it comes to my Dexcom CGM. However, that does not mean that I want to be without my Dexcom. I still think that the upsides outweigh the downsides. But for me to say that I loved everything about my Dexcom CGM would also be a total lie. I started wearing Dexcom about 5 or 6 years ago, and I haven't stopped wearing it or switched to a different CGM. So just tell you a little bit about my commitment to this product. But I'm all for transparency. So let me walk you through the 7 things that I absolutely hate about my Dexcom. It only makes sense to really wear a CGM if it's accurate. And unfortunately, it's not accurate 100% of the time. One thing is faulty sensors. I get that. It's annoying, but I understand that sometimes products just don't work. You know, I think we all bought some sort of electronics at one point that we took it out of the box, it didn't work, we returned it. Fine. But what really grinds my gears is that the CGMs, and it's not just Dexcom, it's all the CGMs, can be significantly inaccurate, especially for the first 24 hours of the sensor. I mean, Dexcom even have it on their product description. So this is what it says directly on Dexcom's website. Let me read it to you. With newly inserted sensors, the difference between your meter value and the G6 readings might be greater. Generally, the match gets closer over the first 24 hours. So to be fair, all the CGM manufacturers say the same thing. However, I'm paying for a 10-day sensor. I should be getting 10 days of good, accurate readings. So there's the first 24 hours. I've also had sensors that just randomly started getting accurate mid-sensor towards the end of the sensor's lifetime. So Dexcom does have guidance on when is a sensor inaccurate, when should you calibrate. I actually did a whole video on that. I will leave a link to that up here so you can check that out. So the inaccuracy kind of leads into my second annoyance with the Dexcom product, and that is the false marketing. So Dexcom proudly says in all their advertising is no more finger sticks. And that's just plain misleading. I am doing less finger sticks than before I got my CGM for sure. But no finger sticks, that's just not reality. Generally, you should not use your Dexcom for dosing decisions for the first 24 hours of the sensor, given the inaccuracy we just talked about before. So you should be doing finger sticks and basing your decisions on that. Further, you should do finger sticks if your blood sugars are very high or very low, or your symptoms do not match what your Dexcom is telling you. So, to quote Dexcom small print, finger sticks required for diabetes treatment decisions if symptoms or expectations do not match your readings. The next thing that I really hate is all the transmitter and sensor failures. So I'm going through a good streak right now. I haven't had any sensors or transmitters bail on me for a while, so fingers crossed that this will continue. But I've had a ton of sensors, a ton of transmitters fail on me. It seemed like there was a few months last summer where they would just fail all the time. And of course, it always happens at the most inconvenient times. But I must say, Dexcom is really good at replacing faulty transmitters or sensors. So the trick, at least here in the US, is simply that you open up your Dexcom app, you go down to the bottom, you click settings, then you click contact, and there'll be an online form that pops up. You just fill that out, and they'll send you a replacement sensor or transmitter. But let me just show you how to do that. Open up the Dexcom app, and down here, click settings, then you click contact, and here click report an issue, and then it opens up to a separate page. And here you fill out all your information, the data, when did this occur, what is the issue, so there's a drop-down menu here. So once you've found what you're looking for, you'll just select that. And then the product information, what is it that's wrong? Is it sensor, receiver, transmitter? Some of the information is not mandatory, so you just fill out everything you can. And then once you're done with all of that, you simply click submit. And then there's the amount of non-recyclable waste. It's mind-blowing. These are 12 sensor inserters, applicators. So this is 4 months of use, and these you cannot recycle. So each of these, there's a needle in there because that's how the sensor is getting inserted. So each of these is technically considered a sharps container. So at least here where I live in California, these should not go in the trash. These need to be, handed off to someone who can handle sharps. If you're in similar situations and you don't know what to do with your sharps, try visiting safeneedledisposal.org. And they can guide you to where here in the US that you can dispose of your sharps. That's what I use, and it's super easy. Then we have the alarm functionality of the Dexcom G6, which is brilliant. I do want to be woken up if I have a low blood sugar, but I kind of also want to sleep. So there's that. You can adjust the alarms on the Dexcom G6 system. You can actually take off all the alarms, but the 55 milligrams per deciliter, which is the urgent low blood sugar, you can't take off that alarm. So, and as I said, I do want to be woken up if I am having a low blood sugar, especially if I can be, alerted before it actually gets really low. However, I do not want to be woken up if my blood sugar is not actually low. And especially those first 24 hours where the sensor is, for the most part, inaccurate, I usually get a lot of false low alerts, and it's incredibly annoying. So for some of these nights where the alarms just go off and off and off and off, and I know I actually don't have a low blood sugar, I know that I'm in range. I know that because I do the finger sticks, right? So I've had nights, I had one last night where I end up turning off the phone completely just to silence the alarm so that I can sleep. Problem with that is that I also use my phone as my alarm clock, so yeah, choices. And then there's the risk of the needle not retracting after you insert the sensor. So this has only happened to me 3 times. That is 3 times too many, but it's something that I really hope they've fixed. It hasn't happened in a while. So what happens is that this is inserter. So once placed on the skin, it's stuck on the skin because there's adhesive. You click the button and the needle quickly goes in and it leaves the sensor underneath the skin. When the needle does not retract into the device, the needle is stuck underneath the skin. And because of the adhesive, the whole inserter is stuck on the skin. So good news is it happened 3 times with me. It did not hurt. It looks dramatic, but it did not hurt. However, given the adhesive and the needle underneath the skin, it makes it really hard to get this one off. There's a few different tricks that I've seen floating around the diabetes community because this has happened to a lot of people. One of them was to hit the end with a wooden spoon. I did that. One of the times that did not work at all, and I had to pry it off. It was a little bit of bleeding, but not too bad. But the 2 times it did work with the wooden spoon, the needle then retracted back and I could just, dispose of the inserter. And then finally, the last thing that I really hate about my Dexcom G6, it's the price. This is not a cheap device. And you'll need, when you start out, you'll need a receiver, even if you're never gonna use it. You have to buy the receiver. You will need transmitters. So a transmitter lasts 3 months. And you'll need sensors. So they'll sell you sensor packages with 3 sensors of each. So that's enough for a month's supply. I have fairly good, but also fairly expensive insurance. And with my insurance, I pay $130 for 2 transmitters. I pay $65 a month for sensors. So that's for 3 sensors, 30-day wear. I don't remember how much I paid for the receiver, but I did find it online. Online, it was around $200 without insurance. That means for me, with insurance, I pay $520 a year for my transmitters and my sensors. If I did not have insurance, it would look a little different. So I went to Costco, their pharmacy, and I looked up the prices. So let's just have a look. So here we are on Costco's website. Click drug pricing, and it takes you here. You can type in the product. So I'm going to type in Dexcom, and this will be a drop down. I'm going to choose a receiver. And here you see some of the prices for a receiver. It's about $200. Then we can choose a new product. Again, Dexcom, and I'm going to choose the sensor this time. So it shows me a sensor pack of 3. It's about $300. So that's a month's supply. Let's search again. Click Dexcom again. Now we're looking at the transmitters. So this is one transmitter. I see the price for that. is showing up here. It's $130. I'm rounding up. If you add all of that up, that would be $1,720 a year, and that's without the receiver. As I said, it's not a cheap device. And those were the 7 things that I really hate about my Dexcom G6. But would I give it up? Nope. I still think it's a really powerful tool to help me manage my diabetes on a day-to-day basis. Thank you so much for watching this video on what I hate about my Dexcom G6. If you like my content, if you'd like to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications. You'll be informed whenever I post new content. If you like this video, I'll also appreciate if you give it a like and leave me a comment below. Thank you so much for watching.